A long time ago, there was a teacher everyone admired. Her name was Miss Kamsi. She was very beautiful, the type that looked too gentle to ever harm a fly. If you saw her smile, you'd never imagine anything wicked could hide behind it.
This is the circle of African tales, where African wisdom lives and every story has a lesson.
Miss Kamsi taught nursery 3 class. Every day at lunchtime, something strange always happened. She would tell her pupils to bring their food to her table. Once they obeyed, she quietly locked the classroom door and pretended like she was checking the food for germs. But that was a lie. The moment the door clicked shut, she would sit down and eat their food one after the other slowly, happily, without caring that small children sat in front of her with empty stomachs. She would only return crumbs, real crumbs, telling them, "Don't mind, I helped you eat the germs." These children were innocent, small, and trusted her. They believed every word like it was the whole truth. After some time, she even started deciding what she wanted them to bring. "Tell your mommy you want jollof rice tomorrow," she would say. "Tell them to add fried chicken too." Naomi's mother cooked the sweetest jollof rice and pasta. So Miss Kamsi always insisted Naomi must bring both. Another girl, Moi, always came with fine continental dishes. Her mother was a chef. Anytime Moi opened her flask, Miss Kamsi's eyes would shine like light. She would eat until she had no shame left, then push crumbs into Moi's hands like she was feeding a pigeon. This went on every day. One afternoon, a little girl collapsed outside. Her name was Ifunanya. Quiet, gentle, and loved by everyone. She hadn't eaten anything since morning. Of course she didn't, because her teacher ate it all. When Ifunanya fainted, Miss Kamsi ran to her, not out of concern, but because she feared trouble. She whispered harshly, "If you tell anybody I eat your food, I will make sure no one plays with you again. I will make you suffer alone. Do you hear me?" Ifunaya's small body shook. She nodded, wiping tears with dusty fingers. Later that day, her mom, Mrs. Neka, came to pick her up. When she saw her child could barely walk, she rushed her to the first aid room. The nurse said, "Your daughter fainted because she hasn't eaten all day." Immediately, Miss Kamsi jumped into the conversation. That girl refused to eat. She even threw her food on the floor and said she didn't want it." Mrs. Neka apologized to the teacher, embarrassed, and took her daughter home. On the way, she kept stealing glances at her child. At home, she asked her, "Why did you throw your food on the floor?" The poor girl trembled. Afraid of being hated at school, she lied. "It was an accident," she whispered. Her voice shook. Her story stumbled. Her mother could see fear sitting inside her eyes like a heavy stone. Mrs. Neka sat her down and asked again if there was something else she wanted to say, something she was hiding. But Ifunanya only shook her head over and over. It was an accident. Then, almost immediately, she said she wanted to take jollof rice to school the next day. It confused her mother even more because jollof wasn't her favorite. She always preferred fried rice. That night, Mrs. Neka could not sleep. Something was wrong. Her spirit refused to rest. She remembered her daughter's shaky voice, her nervous hands, her eyes full of fear. She needed answers. The next morning, she packed her girls' lunch by herself, but this time she hid something. She filled the flask with plain white rice and beans, a food she knew her daughter hated. She added enough snacks so the girl wouldn't starve and said nothing about what she packed. At school, things went on as usual. When the lunch bell rang, Miss Kamsi stood, smiling sweetly as always. "Children, bring your food. You know I must check for germs." One by one, the pupils carried their flasks to her table. She opened each, sniffing them dramatically. This one has small germs. Don't worry, I'll clean it for you." She scooped mouthfuls into her mouth, eating like someone who hadn't tasted food in days. She always moaned softly as she chewed, enjoying meals that weren't hers. "Moi, your mommy can cook. Let me remove the germs for you." She stuffed more food into her mouth. Then came Ifunaya's turn. Miss Kamsi snatched the flask like it belonged to her. "I hope it's jollof today," she said excitedly. But when she opened it and smelled rice and beans, Her face changed. She frowned at the girl. "Tell your mommy to always give you jollof rice," she snapped before she began eating the rice and beans herself. Later that day, Ifunanya came home. Her flask was completely empty. Not a grain left. Her mother stared at it, stunned. Her heart pounded. This girl would rather starve than eat rice and beans, but today she finished everything. She called, "Ifunanya, come here." The girl froze. Slowly, she dragged her feet forward. "Did you really eat all your food today?" She nodded, eyes down. "Yes, mommy." "You finished rice and beans? The same one that makes you cry?" More tears filled her eyes. That was when Mrs. Necker knew. Something was deeply wrong. She told her daughter she would speak to her teacher the next day. Immediately, the girl burst into tears. "No, mommy, please, don't talk to her, please." Her mother saw the fear clearly now. It was too much for a child to carry. She tried to calm her, to talk, but the girl refused to say another word. That night, Mrs. Necker sat alone at the dining table, long after little Ifunanya had gone to bed. The house was quiet, but her mind was not. She kept replaying every shaky word her daughter said, every frightened look, every strange silence. Nothing added up. Something was hiding behind that small girl's fear, and a mother's heart always knows when something is wrong. By morning, she made up her mind. She was tired of guessing. She woke up early and packed her daughter's food herself. But this time, she packed jollof rice, Miss Kamsi's favorite. As she zipped the lunch bag, she forced a smile at her child and said, "Come, let's go." When they got to school, she walked her daughter into the classroom. Miss Kamsi was already there, wearing her usual fake smile. "Good morning," she sang sweetly, collecting lunch bags from the children. But Mrs. Necker didn't miss a thing. She noticed the way the teacher's eyes went straight to the flasks, the way she arranged them herself, placing some in front, others behind, like she already knew which one she would open first. To other parents watching, it looked like she was just doing her job, like she was being organized, responsible, caring, but a mother always knows. Something wasn't pure about that woman. With quiet steps, she left the classroom and headed for the headmistress's office. "Good morning, ma. I'm sorry to disturb you," she said politely. The headmistress looked up with a calm face. "Yes, how may I help you?" "It's about my daughter, Ifunanya, and her class teacher, Miss Kamsi." The headmistress raised a brow. "Miss Kamsi? What about her?" "I might be wrong," she began shakily, "but I believe she has been taking my daughter's food." The headmistress sat up. "Taking her food? Are you sure?" "Yes, ma. My daughter comes home hungry and scared every day. Yesterday, I decided to test something. I packed rice and beans, a food she hates. When she came home, she said she finished all of it. That is impossible. I know my child. She will never eat that food. Someone else must be eating it, and I suspect her teacher." The headmistress leaned back, frowning. Madam, I understand your worry, but Miss Kamsi is one of our best teachers. She has worked here for 5 years. No complaints. The children love her. The parents love her. Are you absolutely sure?" "I'm not accusing blindly," she insisted, "but something is not right. The children, especially my daughter, they fear her." The headmistress sighed after a long pause. "All right, I will talk to her. For peace, I will not mention your name or your child. I will speak generally." "Thank you, ma," she said with relief, standing up slowly. That afternoon, the headmistress summoned Miss Kamsi. She walked in gracefully, smiling like nothing evil lived inside her. "Good afternoon, ma. You sent for me." "Yes, please sit," the headmistress said. When she sat, the woman folded her hands and spoke calmly. "I received a very unusual report. Some parents are worried about lunchtime in your class. They say pupils' lunch might be getting tampered with. That maybe someone is eating their food." Immediately, Miss Kamsi gasped loudly, almost too dramatic. "What? Eating their food? Ma, how can that be?" "I am only asking," said the headmistress calmly. "Is there any truth to it?" "Absolutely not, ma." Her voice shook, not from innocence but fear. "Ma, you know me. I love those children. I even help them open their flask. I clean up after them. I would never do such a thing." The headmistress nodded slowly, watching her carefully. "Yes, I know. I told the parents the same." The teacher relaxed a bit, smiling.
Thank you, Ma. You did the right thing. Children can exaggerate. Maybe they misunderstood. Yes, the headmistress said, though her eyes narrowed slightly. But please, be careful. Parents are very protective. Make sure everything is handled properly. I understand perfectly, Ma, she said, touching her chest like she was touched. I will never let such a thing happen in my class. When she left the office, her face instantly changed. Her jaw tightened. Her steps became fast, heavy. Her heart beat like it wanted to run out of her chest. Who reported me? She hissed under her breath. Who told her? She stepped back into the classroom and scanned the children's faces. Little Ifunaya quickly looked away. A slow smile curved at the edge of the teacher's lips. Not a kind one, but the kind that chilled the air around the room. So, she whispered, one of you reported me to your parents.
Miss Kamsi's smile disappeared that day. Her eyes went cold. She hissed through her teeth and said, "You will see what I can do from today onward." She dropped into her chair with anger burning on her face. From that moment, everything changed. She became harsher, sharper. She locked the classroom door earlier than before. She reminded the children that if they ever reported her to their parents, they would suffer alone. The class grew quiet. Too quiet. The children only whispered when she wasn't looking. Fear sat with them like an extra pupil. One morning, a new girl joined Nursery 3. Her name was Mimi. A tiny, curious girl who loved food almost as much as she loved running around the playground. Everyone noticed her lunchbox. It always carried fine snacks, meat pie, donuts, small chops. Even other kids stared at her lunch with big eyes. The first day Miss Kamsi saw Mimi's food, greed flashed across her face. She smiled sweetly and stretched her hand. "Mimi, bring your food. Let me check if there are gems inside," she cooed. But Mimi held her flask close and whispered, "My mommy said I should not give my food to anybody." The whole class gasped. Miss Kamsi's smile dropped. "So, you don't want your teacher to help you check for gems?" Terrified, Mimi finally handed the flask to her. The moment the door was locked, Miss Kamsi rushed to her seat. She tore open the meat pie, chewing loudly. She ate every snack she could find while the children watched, hungry, helpless. Their stomachs made small crying noises. When she finished, she only returned crumbs, the kind that couldn't fill even an ant. To her, that day was perfect. She ate her favorite things and felt proud of herself. But when she got home later, her stomach began to roar, loud, angry. She ran to the toilet, crying out in pain. All night, she sat there groaning until her voice disappeared. By morning, she dragged herself to school. Her skin looked pale, her feet weak, but her greed did not sleep. She still took the pupils' food, eating each one without shame. When she reached Mimi, the little girl held her flask tight. This time, she didn't shake. She raised her head and said, "Auntie, my mommy said I should not share. If you take my food, I will tell my mommy." Miss Kamsi froze. She could not believe a small child was threatening her. Anger rose in her chest. She sent Mimi to sit at the back, alone. She warned the other pupils never to talk or play with her, and they obeyed. Soon, no one shared crayons with Mimi during art class. No one played with her during break. She sat alone, eyes full of tears, wishing she had kept quiet. The next day, Miss Kamsi stood in front of the class, hands on her hips. "Everyone bring your food," she snapped. Mimi rushed forward, begging, "Auntie, please tell them to talk to me again. I will not tell my mommy." The teacher sniffed her food and smiled. Then she took it. But the moment she finished eating, her stomach roared louder than before. She ran to the toilet again, crying as sweat poured down her face. Pain hit her everywhere. She felt like she was dying. Inside that toilet, she prayed loudly, "God, please save me. I will never eat a child's food again." The pain followed her home. She swallowed medicine after medicine, hoping to calm her body. But the next morning, as soon as she entered the classroom, the smell of food rose like a curse. Her stomach growled.
Her eyes became greedy again. "Children," she whispered weakly, "bring your food. I need to check it for germs." The children did not want to. Their faces were tired of suffering, but they obeyed. Again, she ate everything and returned crumbs. Then she reached Mimi's flask. She snatched it and opened it roughly. The sweet smell hit her nose. She smiled and swallowed greedily. Mimi sat quietly staring at her with eyes that felt too deep for a child. Something in that look made the teacher's body feel cold, but she ignored it and ate more. A few minutes later, the world around her began to tilt. Her vision blurred. Her chest tightened. Her heart started beating too fast. Her hand shook. She grabbed the table edge, trying to breathe as sweat poured down her face.
The whole classroom went into confusion. Little Naomi ran close and asked with a shaky voice, "Auntie, are you okay?" Miss Kamsi forced a weak smile, even though her hands were shaking badly. "I'm fine, children. It's only headache," she whispered. Before she could finish, her body went limp. She fell back on her chair, completely unconscious. The children screamed. Some cried. Some ran to the window, shouting for help. The headmistress heard the noise and rushed there, but the door was locked from inside. Teachers and staff pushed the door until it broke open. The sight inside was frightening. Children were crying everywhere, and Miss Kamsi sat lifeless on the chair, face white, breathing shallow like someone fighting for air. "Call ambulance," the headmistress shouted. Within minutes, they carried her away. She was rushed to the hospital. Doctors worked through the hour. Injections, drips, machines, everything just to keep her alive. Time passed slowly until finally one doctor stepped out. His face looked confused as he spoke. "Madam," he said to the headmistress, "your teacher is alive, but something strange is happening. We found a very strong prescription drug in her blood. It is only meant for people with a rare heart problem. If she has been taking this accidentally for a long time, it explained the fainting and shaking." The room went silent. Back at school, the news spread quickly. Little Mimi sat alone in a corner, holding her lunch flask like her life depended on it. When her mother came, the headmistress called her aside and quietly explained everything. Her mother's eyes widened. "Which teacher?" she asked. Miss Kamsi replied. She collapsed after eating from Mimi's lunchbox. Mimi's mother put her hand over her mouth. "Jesus, that food is not for anybody else. My daughter has a serious heart condition. Her medicine is mixed into her food every day, and the amount is very specific. Anyone who eats her food is poisoning themselves." The headmistress froze. "Poison?" she whispered. Mimi's mother nodded and explained that if someone takes a high dose of that medication, their heart and kidney can fail. "I always told Mimi not to share her food," the woman said sadly. "She never told me her teacher was eating it." She knelt and asked her daughter, "Mimi, why didn't you tell me?" Tears rolled down the girl's face. "She said if I don't give her my food, she will make everybody hate me. The day I tried to stop her, she told the whole class not to talk or play with me again." Her mother was shocked. She hugged Mimi tight and assured her she was safe now. At the hospital, Miss Kamsi finally woke up. She looked around, scared and confused. The doctor explained everything slowly. That she had been taking a strong medication for months without knowing it. Her organs were badly damaged. She needed dialysis immediately or she would not survive. Her eyes widened. "Medicine? I was never on any medicine." The doctor only shrugged. "We found it in your blood. Someone has been giving it to you, maybe without your knowledge." Right there, everything became clear in her mind. She remembered all the stolen meals,
all the children's food she had eaten, especially Mimi's. Regret hit her chest like a heavy stone. Tears poured from her eyes. She wished she could rewind time, but it was too late. Her greed had destroyed her life, her job, and her health. She made innocent children into victims, children she was supposed to protect. Now karma came back through the most unexpected child, a sick girl whose food she stole. A week later, the whole school gathered in assembly. The headmistress stood on the stage and said, "Let this be a lesson to all. Greed never goes unpunished. Miss Kamsi has resigned. She will spend the rest of her life receiving treatment for the illness she brought upon herself." The school installed CCTV cameras in every class, so such wickedness would never happen again. They began to listen more carefully to parents and watch their teachers closely. The moral of the story is simple. Greed is a silent poison. It eats a person from the inside like cancer. Be content with what you have, because contentment is the greatest wealth. When you take what belongs to others, you bring trouble upon yourself, trouble you cannot control. Miss Kamsi thought she was only satisfying hunger, but in the end, her appetite became her punishment. Remember, not every food is meant for your mouth, and not every blessing meant for someone else will bring you joy. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more African tales.